Honorable Justice Tatachari and the citizens of Delhi, the Sahajogis, we are now at a juncture of history where it has become imminent that we have to prove the existence of divine power. We have read about this all-pervading power. In our Shastras, there has been elaborate descriptions about the divine power flowing through us, through each and every particle that is being manifested in this universe. But so far, very few people have been able to enter into the realm of divinity, to feel that divine power. Those were born at such a higher level that they could not communicate with the rest of the people. They only sang the songs of divinity which was carried to the people who never felt the existence of that divine power, which those people felt it like reality. It has been, as I have told you before, a search of human beings to jump into infinity. But the finite rationality and understanding, the buddhi of human being could not permeate into the infinity. So the whole thing became such a mechanical process. The religions lost their significance, and people could not believe in the talk of religions or divine power. But the time has come for people to have amas, entry into the kingdom of God, to feel His existence, throbbing, being within themselves. As she told you, in 1970, I realized that human beings are not even awakened peak. And that's why all the mistake has been committed, because those who were born on the 10th story could not explain to people who were not even in the first story. When I got this human realization and the reasons why this was happening, I started working on various people and found out their problems on the path of their awakening. In doing so, within 2 years' time, I was hardly able to give realization, or I should say the people could realize, only to 12 people. And it was a very hard task, because the people who came to me were not so much attracted. They felt, what is the proof that there is divine power beyond us? But when they realized, and when they started getting the vibrations from their fingertips, the vibrations which we call Chaitanya Lahari, by which they became Nirvikara, by which they started curing other people, by which they started giving awakening to other people, and giving them realization, it became a proof with them that they have reached self-actualization. It is a truth. It is not falsehood. It is not any propaganda. It has to happen within you. You cannot give false certificate to anybody that it has happened. It has to happen fully into you, and you have to feel it that it has happened. And when you use it, you know it has happened. The other day you have seen the rising of the Kundalini with your naked eyes. Some of you have never even known the word Kundalini. But you have seen the throbbing of the Kundalini, how it rose and how it came up through the spine. When the Kundalini rises, you actually can see the movement of Kundalini. There have been many people who have been talking of Kundalini awakening. Actually, none of them who say so have shown the rising of the Kundalini. The reason being, the Kundalini never rose. The Kundalini only rises when there is somebody who is already enlightened and who knows the job of rising the Kundalini. So they have described that by raising the Kundalini, you actually become very heated up, or sometimes you start dancing, sometimes you start shouting, and sometimes you get blisters all over your body. The way they have described Kundalini, one would think that it is better to remain as you are than to go into such kind of a ordeal where you get completely finished and fagged out. Kundalini is your mother, and she rests in the triangular bone which is placed higher than Muladhara chakra. The triangular bone is known as the Muladhara. You all know Sanskrit and you know what is the meaning of Muladhara. She rests there, and those who try to incite her from the wrong side, Sri Ganesha, who is sitting on the Muladhara chakra, gets angry, and that anger is expressed, which people say that the Kundalini is angry. The Kundalini will never rise. She knows your problems. She loves you. She is the only mother you have, and she has been with you for ages, for many lives. So she doesn't rise at all. She stays there. Only Sri Ganesha gets angry because he's supposed to look after the chastity of your mother, the protocol of your mother. Now, whether there is Sri Ganesha or not, we start from that. This is from the scratch one has to start. People say that they have seen Sri Ganesha's symbol inside the bee. Whether there is Sri Ganesha or not can be verified in Sahaja Yoga. Because when you find somebody suffering like that, you have to request to Sri Ganesh that please don't be angry. The person has done it in his ignorance and he listens to you. Immediately you find such a person becomes cool down. His blisters disappear and he feels very much comforted. Last time in Delhi, if you remember, there was one man who came rushing to me. First he had gone to Bombay and then came back again to Delhi. He was a resident of Delhi and he told me that somebody has excited his Kundalini. And he was running all over the place, helter-skelter, shouting, "What heat, what heat," as if lots of wasps have bitten him. I asked him, "How did you get your awakening? Who was the man who did it?" And he told me, and it was such a hideous method that decency prohibits me to talk about that. And when I saw that, I told him that how can you believe that God can be achieved through such hideous and useless method? And he was a very educated man. Then I asked Sri Ganesh that please forgive, because he doesn't know. He is an ignorant person, and somebody who tried to take some money out of him or who tried to show off his knowledge has played with his Kundalini, so please excuse him. And there are so many people who have witnessed that immediately he cooled down and he was all right. All the deities that are on your Kundalini, whether they are there or not, because somebody has written, because somebody has said it, because they are in the Shastras also, why should we accept? Because the rational man doesn't want to accept it. Your children are not going to accept it. We can prove the existence of Sri Ganesh. In the same way, we can prove the existence of all these deities that are on the chakras that are within human spine. Now to say of Indian culture and Hindu culture and Muslim culture and other cultures, it is most surprising that Kundalini, or we can say the primordial Kundalini of the Virata, has got all these great incarnations, whether they were Muslims, whether they were Christians, whether they were Indians, seated on the chakras. For example, if we start from the Muladhara chakra upward, then we have got on the second chakra, Swadhisthana chakra, Sri Brahmadeva, who is the creative power, creative aspect of God. And his power is Saraswati. You have seen that in Delhi, you all were caught up with Swadhisthana chakra. All of you have got this problem of Swadhisthana chakra, because Delhi is a place where we are planning too much. And the power of planning, the power of future thinking comes from Swadhisthana chakra. And that's why many of you are caught up with Swadhisthana chakra. The third chakra, which is known as the Nabhi chakra, actually it is known as Manipur chakra, rests above this triangular bone, and it controls the solar plexus in the gross form in the human beings. And this is the chakra which represents our dharma, our religion. Now when I talk of religion, immediately the modern mind will get after me, saying that what are you talking of these, out of these things. When I say dharma, I mean dharaiti sadharma. You see, human beings have got certain religion, as everything has got religion. For example, you take a mango from the mango tree. If you plant it, you get the mango. Or else you can see, as I told you yesterday, that a gold bangle is gold because it is not tarnishable. That is the dharma of gold. The water has got purification dharma. In the same way, a human being has got his own dharma, which is expressed in the Bible as 10 commandments. These are 10 dharmas a human being is born with. He is born with it. But he has to establish himself into dharma when he has to go into dharmati state, means beyond dharma. But these 10 must be established. If these are not established, we cannot play about with them. If you play about with them, there is a problem in your awakening and in your realization. The Nabhi chakra is the most important one, and there rests the great incarnation, or we can say the aspect of God, which we call as Narayana himself, Sri Vishnu, and his power is Sri Lakshmi. Vishnu represents the sustenance, the dharma aspect of God. And Vishnu is responsible for the evolution of human beings. We never find out why an amoeba has become a human being. What has made him come up to the level of a human being? And what is going to happen to this human being after all? Why is he made a human being? You are made for some purpose. What is going to happen to this human being afterwards? We never think of that. This evolutionary power comes to us through Sri Vishnu himself. Sri Vishnu is not Hindu's god. He doesn't belong to India. He doesn't belong to one particular state or one particular area. He belongs in the primordial being, in the great primordial being whom we call, as Islam they call it, Allahu Akbar. He is the expression of that primordial being. who is great. God has many aspects, and one of the aspects is of his greatness. And that's why, as Vishnu, he wants us to be great. Yesterday I told you that the body of Virata contains everything that he manifests, and we have to realize that we are a part and parcel of that great Virata, and that we are in the process of realizing him because we are made in the image of God. Then comes the most important part of our body, is the stomach. It represents the Bhavasagara, is the Maya in which we are placed. We are born in this Bhavasagara when Sri Vishnu himself incarnates again and again. You have seen as Matsyavatara, Kurmavatara, and he himself leads the human beings in their evolutionary path. He is held by another another deity whom we call as primordial Guru, the Adi Guru, Dattatreya. Sri Vishnu rises from Bhavasagara and gives you the leadership to rise within yourself. He builds up your awareness step by step, and today you are as a human being. In your being itself, he creates two more chakras, one on the Hridaya chakra, and above that is the Vishuddhi chakra, which is placed here, which is called as the complete incarnation of Sri Krishna. At the Vishuddhi chakra, Sri Vishnu completes his incarnation. He is the complete Virata. He is represented here in the Vishuddhi chakra. Whether he is there or not, you can find out when the Kundalini is awakened. On the left hand side of the Virata in the heart resides Shiva himself. Shiva is the symbol of God's aspect of existence. It is Shiva who makes the whole manifestation to exist. And when he doesn't like the show, when he doesn't like the play, he switches off. That's why he is also known as a destroyer. If he likes it, if it is moving in the right direction, he continues to watch the show, but if he doesn't like it, he just switches off. So there are three aspects of God we have seen. One is of his sthiti, existence, another of his creativity by Brahmadeva, and the third one, which is the evolutionary, but which is based on dharma itself. One person can have three attitudes, can have three aspects. God has many more aspects, but the aspects that are manifested are these three. Now these three aspects, the essence of these aspects, or we can say the innocence of these three aspects, is combined in the primordial Guru or the Adi Guru Dattatreya, who resides in the Bhavasagara and helps Sri Vishnu for your evolution. Now he has taken many incarnations, mainly 10 incarnations, and these are very important and we have to understand them in their full entirety. If you accept him as Dattatreya, you have to also accept him as Raja Janaka. It's easy for a Hindu mind to accept Raja Janaka, but they cannot accept Muhammad Sahib, who was the same as Raja Janaka. It is a fact which we can prove it on your Kundalini. A person who is suffering from cancer of the stomach. Now this is the thing, when I say that Sahaja Yoga can cure your cancer, you have to give up certain notions that we have in our head. A person, supposing he is a Hindu, and he is suffering from the stomach cancer, I have to ask him to take the name of Muhammad. If I fail to ask him, or if I do not convince him, I cannot cure his cancer. I am sorry, I tell him I just cannot do it. But if he is a Muslim, I have to tell him, you have to take the name of the Tat. Human beings, like fools, have taken away the living flowers of one tree and now are fighting on something that is dead. He was the Dattatreya. There is no doubt about it. And his daughter Fatima was nobody else but Sita Janaki herself. And her two sons, Hassan and Hussein, were nobody else but Lava and Kusha. They were born again and again. They were born as Mahavira and Buddha. And then they were born as Hassan and Hussein. It is only possible through Sahaja Yoga to realize that this is the truth. This is the fact. He was born as Nanaka, and Nanaki was nobody else but Janaki. In Nanaka's life he has expressed it. Of course, I don't know how many people have read about Nanaka. Nanaka one day was sleeping and his feet were towards Kaaba. And people were getting vibrations from that side. So they said, what are you doing? Your feet are towards Kaaba. So he said, all right, I'll turn my feet on the other side. And they started getting vibrations from the other side. They said, what? Kaaba has moved or what? He has, in a way, shown. But how dare they say many things? When they said very few things, they have killed all these people and tortured. If you read Muhammad Sahab's life, you will feel what foolish people we have been, the way we have tortured. For fanaticism, the way he was killed actually was poisoned. He had no place where to hide his head the way people were after him, because he was telling the truth. And fanaticism is one thing he fought. So Guru Tattva is killed as soon as you become a fanatic person. Your Guru Tattva is immediately finished as soon as you take to fanaticism of any kind. You come up now to the heart chakra. Heart chakra is divided into three parts. In the center of the heart chakra resides Jagadamba herself. But the left side, as I have told you, resides Shiva, and his power is Parvati. When Parvati herself separates her identity with her Lord and enters in the center to save her children from the domination of the evil spirits, then she resides in the center and she is the Jagadamba. This is called as Sacred Heart in the Bible. She resides as Jagadamba. She has taken many incarnations to save. Today there was Lalita Panchami. They sang the song of Lalita. The way she took her incarnations to fight the evil forces, to save the bhaktas from the domination of satanic and depraving personalities. She is there within you also. If not awakened, she can be awakened. She is all the time there to save you from those satanic forces. Today, so many Rakshasas have taken birth in this Kali Yuga. They are here, as some of them call themselves gods and godmen. But from their behavior and from their character, you can make out that they are not human beings, they are less than human beings. All such horrid incarnations have come in a camouflage, in the Maya. Because this is Kali Yuga. Ravana is not going to come out as Ravana. He is not going to say, I am Ravana. But from his ideologies and from his methods, you can make out that he is the Ravana. They are challenging religion today. There are people who are preaching that sex should be used for sublimation into God. How can that be? Sex has nothing to do with your awakening, because sex point, as I told you, is much lower than the Muladhara where your mother resides. It's such an absurd idea which is already taken over in the West. I don't know how people have lost all their brains not to understand. And such ideologies are today spreading in this country. And I want Justice Tatachari to put little pressure to the people who have made laws to see that these horrid things do not come, that they are not accepted by people. Because when you subject yourself to such horrible satanic forces, they come to you as entities, they possess you, you get possessed. Then you start giving everything that you have. Whatever money you have, you give to them. Whatever attention you have, you give it to them. Ultimately, you find out that they have now landed in the courts and now are enjoying some sentence for life. It is better that you should be all warned, that you must understand that a religious person, a person who is really awakened, cannot take even a single pie from you. When you are so self-respecting, how can a person, the one who has got the blessings of God, will accept anything from you? This is the way they satisfy your ego, that you feel that you have been able to purchase a religious personality. You cannot purchase God in the market. You must understand that. And when a person tries to satisfy your ego by doing all these things, you must know that it is an act which is adharmic. Man must understand that God is above everything. It is His grace that can take you there. You cannot do anything about it. It is He who should pour His grace onto you. What can the seed do when it wants to germinate? Nothing. But to be there, and the gardener pours his grace, his love on that seed, and it sprouts by itself. That is what Sahaja is. That means that it is born with you. Like the seed, you have to sprout. But you have to be very careful with those horrible, destructive forces that have come in so many ways. I can tell you there are 16 Rakshasas whom I know have been taken birth. Mahishasur is there, Narakasur is there, Vruttasur is there. There are 6 Rakshasinis who have taken birth. And you have no idea as to what they are doing. They'll do all kinds of tricks to convince you that they are godly people. But you must only ask for the supreme, for the last, which is being described by so many sages like Markandeya, like Shankaracharya. We are so lucky that we have had such great people who have elaborately said, who have clearly said that this is what is the supreme. Ask for the reality and do not ask for something cheap. You cannot cheapen God. You do not try to mold Him in your own small cups. Above that chakra, as I told you, on the right hand side of the heart chakra is placed the deity of Sri Rama and Sita. Now they are placed on the side because he was made to forget his power as Vishnu. He became a human being in every way. He had to be a human being every way, and that's why he behaved in such a manner that he showed the Maryada Purushottama. He is on the right side. He is the ideal king about which the philosophers have told you. He is the person who does all the Rajakaran. He is the person who gives us the way, the evolutionary stage to which a person who is in this world and who is in position, higher levels of administration should follow to. And he is Maryada Purushottama, Rama, who is on the right hand side. And you know his power is Sita. She is Adi Shakti, who is born again and again. On the Vishuddhi chakra rests the great deity of Sri Krishna. He represents the Virata, the Akbar, Allahu Akbar. He is represented here. And this is the finger for Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna has manifested and has shown to Arjuna his Virata Swarupa. But Arjuna got frightened. Imagine that time it was not possible for Arjuna to see all that. He got frightened. Now in the Kali Yuga, the time has come for you to see the Virata. You can. If you get your realization through Sahaja Yoga, if you raise your awareness to that extent where you can see Virata, you can see that. About Sri Krishna, I need not say much, you all know about him, but the essence of his life, the essence of his teaching was one simple thing, that it is all a play going on. When you are complete, when you are sampurna, then only you feel you are just a sakshi. When you are a sakshi, you are watching the whole thing. Here at this point, you meet oneness with complete vairagya within and love outside. The vairagya within flows and love outside. Actually, it's such a wonderful thing which cannot be explained. For example, today's puja filled me up with vibrations. So many vibrations started flowing through my chakras that I didn't know what to do. And then they started flowing out. That's why yesterday I said that Sahaj Yoga teaches you how you become the capitalist of vibrations, and when it flows out, you know it is the communism. Because you cannot help it. Once they are inside, you want to give it away. You have to feed others with what you have got, because you cannot carry on with that capital that you have achieved. You see, it is so spontaneous and automatic that the release is necessary. For example, if I have such a problem, I must meet my Sahajogis. If I don't find them, I go to the sea and stand there and give my vibration to the sea, or to the tree, or to the Akasha. Because I must give way, because they are working out and they have to cross this finite being in which the infinite is pushing through. It is such an interesting thing that when we say that you press the feet of your parents, you get the blessing. Is absolute truth. Because when you press the feet of your parents, the chakras that move the vibrations, they come into us and they soothe us. While they feel soothed, and we also feel soothed. Above this chakra is the Agya chakra, which is a very, very important chakra, which is the door of the Sahasrara. At the Ajna chakra resides Mahavishnu. Those who have read about Mahavishnu in the Markandeya Purana or in the Devi Bhagavat, you will know what I am talking about. But we do not know when he incarnated and who he was. He was nobody else but Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was the only son of Mary, who was Radha. She was Mahalakshmi. It was Mahalakshmi who incarnated as Mary. And Jesus Christ was nobody else but Mahavishnu. If you want to know about Mahavishnu, you must read Devi Bhagavat. There he is described in all elaboration. But whether he is there or not, whether it's a fact or not, can be seen. Because somebody's Agya chakra is caught up, we have to take the name of Jesus Christ. He is Onkar Swarup. So you can take even the name of Onkara, but you have to take the name of Jesus Christ. If you do not take his name, if you do not accept him, I cannot open your Agya chakra. I am sorry, but it is so. Because for Hindus it's very difficult to accept, and for Christians it is very difficult to accept the other side of it. You see, whether you accept it or not, that's a fact. Because of your secluded temperaments, because of your limited energies, because of your, I should say, a very narrow vision of God and religion, you cannot accept the truth which is so wide and so great. But it's a fact and it's to be seen. In the Ajna chakra, he resides. He controls your ego and superego both. He removes the entities that are in you, and he kills your darpa, your ego. He looks after your ego also. If you bend before somebody who is not a realized soul, who is just doing anadhikar cheshta, unauthorized, he is asking your surveillance or your subjection, he gets angry. And that's how the Agya chakra closes down. Agya chakra is in the center of the optic thalamus of the human being, and is one of the most important things. And once it opens out, it's much easier for you to get realization. Among you, there are at least 50% people who are already realized, who know how to handle the Kundalini, who have mastered the Kundalini. So when I'm telling you, it's just a repetition, but there are many newcomers, that's why I have to tell them about it. The last is the most important, is the limbic area, where resides the Sahasrara. There are 982 nerves in our brain, and there are 8 other nerves. So we can say that there are 1000 nerves. There is no use quarreling with these doctors. because they'll be all the time fighting with you and telling you, no, no, it is not so, it is not so. But they will never come and see, because we have cured cancer, we have cured so many people, they will never come and see us. We have so many doctors who have been realized now and who accept that Sahaja Yoga is the only way the cancer can be cured, but still they are not going to accept us because the ego is too much. How are they going to accept it? Because that's what they are depending on. And now they have to accept, they have to jump to something. Are they going to accept Christ? Are they going to accept Ganesha? Oh God, that's too much for scientists to accept Sri Ganesh, because Christ is the human incarnation of Sri Ganesh. He is the embodiment of eternal childhood. In the Sahasrara, we have the integration of all these chakras, which we call as the 7 pithas. They are placed there. And because of this integration in the Sahasrara, one has to work out on the Sahasrara. Now this Sahasrara opening happened when 1970, when I saw how one can handle all these 7 chakras in the Sahasrara. Here resides Sri Bhagavati, who coordinates, cooperates with those 7 chakras in such a manner that all the permutations and combinations of these 7 chakras can be worked out in the Sahasrara. Once she works it on that, she can give you realization too. And that's how we have got 7 chakras. On top of this, there are 3 more abstract forms in which one has to rise. Above, this is the Trikona, which is the brain. Above that lies the Ardhamatra, as they call it, then the Bindu, and then they call it the Vartula. But the thing is, all these things I am talking about should not mean anything to you unless and until you have achieved something. Because this all you can read in the books. I am not here to give you some books. You know that so far I have not written any books, and I don't know if I am really going to complete the so-called book I am writing. Because once you write the books, people start, you see, getting involved into it so much that they do not ask for the reality. So you first see the reality yourself. Now all over the world, there are Sahaja Yogis who have seen the Kundalini rising, who have mastered the Kundalini, who know what is happening. Because after realization, you start feeling it on your fingers. You feel the Chaitanya Lahari coming into you. But not only that. It's not only that the Chaitanya Lahari starts coming, but it is the communication is established with the all-pervading power, with God. And you start feeling on the fingers what is the problem of the other person. For example, if you place your hands towards a person, immediately if you get a burning here, you know it is Ajna Chakra. Now for a person who is novice, who is recently come for the first time, who places the hand, he will say this is the finger. Even a child can say that. My granddaughter, who is a born realized soul, she can just say like this, from the distance she tells me, Nani, ye hai. Now she knows the names also. So the communication is given to you silently. It burns you, it makes you uneasy, sometimes you feel the throbbing, sometimes you feel something is flowing in. That's how you know. It is a subjective knowledge. For this you do not have to go to school. Anybody knows if it is burning there, so this is the finger that is burning. But I am here to decode all that, to tell you. And then you verify it. You tally it and find out if it is so or not. Not only that you feel the other person, but with that you can raise the Kundalini of another person. With the raising of the Kundalini, you can remove the problems that are physical, emotional and mental. By giving them realization, you can remove their spiritual problems. And that's how they enter also into the kingdom of God, where they communicate. Honorable Justice Tatachari.
If any one of you wants to put any question and get some idea clarified, Mataji is prepared to reply.
You should not, because your attention has to be free. At the time of your realization, when the Kundalini is awakened, all your attention is extracted within, and the Kundalini, while rising, takes it on its head or on her head and brings the attention outside the Sahasrara. So at that time, best thing is to let loose yourself, just sit down watching what is happening. Instead of putting any effort, it is an effortlessness that helps you the best. So no mantra is to be chanted. After realization, you must know what mantra is to be chanted where. There is a big science about it. So the complete tantra, what you call Kundalini, is there, but you must know how to handle it, what mantra is to be said, what is to be said, and which chakra lacks the things, and you have to master it. And there are many here in Delhi also who have mastered it, so it's not difficult. Anybody can master it. It's not difficult. Even a little girl like Pradnya has mastered the Kundalini. She can do it. So why not you people can do it? So you have to just find out what are the chakras which are defective, and you can treat it also. Just now, those who are not realized, you've got your realization, no doubt. So you will go and meet those people at D288 Pandara Road, and there you go, and they will guide you as to what is to be done future, and go deep into it. Make yourself established and be a master of Kundalini. All that is Guhya Guhya Taram, I have told them, and you will get all the knowledge about it.
What is the purpose of the Lord?
What
is the purpose of the Lord?
Of
giving this universal consciousness, living in a jiva.
Now, that's a very good question. Is why the universal consciousness? Yes. Why? Yes. It is all deliberate, and why it is kept sleeping in the human beings. Now, in the growth of evolution from a small amoeba, you come to a human stage. At the human stage, articulation takes place. Means like a shell of the egg is developed. For the egg to develop, the shell is developed. You are made limited through the growth of your ego and superego within yourself. Your Brahmarandra is closed down, your Talu is closed down, and you are left to yourself. I'll tell you in an analogy by which you'll understand. For example, if I have to use this mic, first of all, it is developed somewhere away from the mains. Then it is brought and put to the mains. In the same way, a human being is cut from the mains. He is given I-ness for him to develop his instrument, his awareness in such a manner that when he receives the mains, he can communicate it, he could understand it, and for that development, articulation was done. Just like an egg is made in a shell for protection and for its growth, and then when the chick is ready in that shell, it is broken by the mother here, just like I break your Brahmarandra. Is the same way it's done. Fun? Now the idea of Atmadhyan is, if it is read in the books, it's rather difficult to make you understand. But what happens with the rise of Kundalini? First of all, when you enter into that infinite thing, some people rise like steep, we can say a very strong jet-like speed they get. But some of them rise very slowly. And then we can see the stages into which they rise. The first thing that happens is that you become thoughtless, but you are aware. First stage that happens is thoughtless awareness. Thoughtless awareness means that you start watching the thoughts. That means you are separated from yourself. Like you were in the water and now you jump onto the boat and you see the water now, so that you are separated. This is what happens. Those who have gradual ascent, you become thoughtlessly aware, which we call in the Hatha Yoga as asampragyat samadhi. Of course, according to them, it's a very higher state. But you become thoughtlessly aware, and the vibrations start flowing from your hand, by which you know that something is flowing. You start getting cool breeze from me, and you start getting cool breeze from other Sahajogis, and when you give it to others, you find it is flowing. This, you can say, is the first thing that happens. That means you become collectively conscious of another personality. This is the first thing that happens. The second stage in which into you jump is nirvikalpa. Means in that stage you become dotless. Then you don't ask me questions. There are some people who are like that here. So they have no questions, they have felt it, they have known it. I say it in a different way, that supposing I give you 1,000 rupees. Now if you do not spend it, how will you know what is the value of that? You will say, what you have given us 1,000, what is that? You have just given us vibrations. But once you start using it and you see the tremendous powers you have got, and the powers of this so-called I mean, what you call just ordinary vibrations. Some people think like that because it's so easily available. It happens to you so sahaja that you do not understand the value of it. But once you start using them and you see the tremendous thing you have got it, the bliss and the joy that flows into you, you come into the state of doubtless awareness. The third one, I would say, when the complete self-realization is established. Now, in the thoughtless awareness, as you can say that now, supposing now, as we have got justice sitting here. So when he is a justice, he has certain powers. In the same way, when you rise to the thoughtless awareness, you have certain powers, by which you can give awakening to people. You just move your hands, the Kundalini of people will move. It's surprising, but it does. You can move the hands and you can see the Kundalini, you can feel the Kundalini of other persons, you can feel the chakras of another person. It happens. Only with thoughtless awareness. But with doubtless awareness, you start giving them realization. Absolutely, you can, just like that you can. And with higher self-realization, what happens? That you just become a sakshi. No problem. You never catch anything. You see, normally what happens, a person comes to you, you place your hands over that person, and you feel, oh, disgusting. This fellow is burning me. You don't like it. Because you see the chakras of that person are burning your fingers and you know it's burning. Then sometimes you catch also. You get involved into it. But later on, when you are completely self-realized, you become an nirlepa. You do not catch any such things. And you rise into the realm where you are into complete vairagya. You're just flowing. You are in the sakshi state. But after this, these three stages is the stage of God's realization, in which you start controlling the nature completely. Some people, of course, through Hatha Yoga, they try to control certain nature, but that's just upside down. We started from the top, go down. First of all, let us go to the divine state, and then come down. Then establish into we control the nature. See if you can control the, say, rain. You can control the sun. All these things can be done. But that is, you see, you lose interest in those things. But automatically you can do it. For example, when I was going to see one Maharaj like that, who is a very evolved soul, and he has got it through his, you see, thousands of years of tapasya. So he was sitting down there and he was pouring rain. The rain was pouring down and he didn't want me to get drenched. So he was trying to control rain. I know he can control rain, but the rain was pouring and he didn't know what to do. He was so disgusted with himself. When I went up, he said, did you want to kill my ego that you didn't allow the rain to stop? I said, no, it was not so. You see, I am a mother. So I told him very sweetly that I know you have bought a sari for me, and if I were not drenched, you would not give me the sari. So I just wanted the rain to. And that's how, you see, the little ego that was there, that I'm controlling the rain, dropped out. So it's a thing that happens automatically. You do not want to do it, but just it happens. You just don't want to bother about these things, but it happens. Wherever you are, it just happens. That is the state where you start rising into God's realization. When you are in God's realization, whether you are sitting here or anywhere, you can see things, you can influence people, you can help them, you can do lot of things sitting down anywhere. You may sit in the Himalayas. There are many people like that who are sitting in the Himalayas and helping. So they can do it, and they are one. For example, this gentleman about whom I am telling you, who is a very great saint, he saw at my time, at the time of my birth, everything that happened. He knows about my past lives for thousands of years. He recognizes me much better. There's another one who came to see me from Amarnath, who is 300-year-old. He is also of the same time. And he also said all those things. But you see, their style is different and your style is different. You are people like Ganesha. They are not. They still catch. You don't know. This man, 300-year-old man, had some patches on his body. I said, what have you done, Anagnath Baba? How did you get these? He said, I caught it from one man, horrible fellow. He had come, he touched me. I said, you got it. All right, I'll take it out for you. And then he said, what about you? I said, not me. I do not get it. I am a mother. Mother never catches other children. In the same way, you people also don't catch. Now, there are some people here who have cured cancer. They have never caught anything from anybody. So, you see, you have much more powers because you are people who are simple, who are like Sri Ganesh. Because Sri Ganesh has much more powers than any one of the deities there are. Because he's so simple. He's so dedicated to the mother.
What for we are living? What is the object?
We are living in this world because we have to become the instrument in the hands of God. He wants to use us. You see, we have to be a good instrument into his hand. For example, an artist has a brush. Now, why is the brush there? For the artist to use the brush. Now, I will tell you a very sweet story about it. Once Radhaji was very jealous of the Murli that Sri Krishna was carrying on his lips. So she asked, what is your speciality? She asked the Murli, what is your speciality that you are all the time near the lips of my Lord? So she said that my speciality is that I have no speciality. I have become a hollow person. The melody is flowing through me. He is using me as just an instrument. And when I laugh at the people when they say that you are being played. Actually, I am just watching like a sakshi, a witness. And if I stand anywhere in between, then his melody will be spoiled. This is the purpose. And if you do not achieve that purpose, then all this recklessness comes in, this tension comes in, this problem comes in, which we can say in a gross way that your parasympathetic is taxed. Once the parasympathetic is taxed, then you start thinking that what are we to do, where are we to jump now? This whole petrol is being exhausted in this body. But once you open out to the mains, it starts pouring into it, and you are absolutely relaxed.
How long does it take for a very normal person to achieve this?
It just takes a second if you are ready.
Very ordinary person.
For every ordinary person, it really takes a second. When it rises, it takes a second to rise. But what happens? That Kundalini is your mother. So now supposing your mother is coming to see you and you are sick. So first of all, what she will do is to see that your sickness is removed. Then she sees that you are mentally upset. So she looks after your mental problem. Then she sees that you are wrongly placed spiritually. So she corrects you and ultimately she blesses. So if somebody is in temperance, in piety, who has got a good health, of normal health, who is leading a normal married life, he is the best suited. And there are some people who have got it just like that. But some people are sick. They have some troubles because they have gone through various ordeals of life. They have been troubled and tortured. They have got some mental problems. The mother has to suit them. So there is, you see, you cannot say that when this seed is going to sprout, but it will sprout. Can you say that at this day the flowers will appear? Can you say that at this date there will be all fruits coming? No, you cannot. There is no time for living things. It works itself. It is a living process. So it works itself. It works for the organism, that is yourself, and then it clicks itself. That is what is Sahaja. क्या कहे?
Whether I will get the chance to recognition.
Realization?
Yes.
Yes, why not? Why not? I am here only for that. जरूर 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 अवश्य अवश्य. अच्छा, आप लोगों में से जो चाहते, हाँ हाँ बेटे.
आपने कहा after Kundalini has been cultivated or developed, then one goes to the higher stage, higher realization, self-realization. Then he becomes so to say a thought, sees everything undisturbed, and with an unruffled mind, all that happens doesn't touch him really. So that when he reaches that stage, he becomes so to say against the highest attainment as it were, or he becomes a part of the divine. Now when this divine state has been reached, how does he react to all the misery? You would say that he is only a witness and doesn't really worry much about it. Now this is what has happened, so to say, to all those people.
Right, and for anybody who is not realized, it's that should be the question that you see around such a lot of miseries. Now he has asked two questions. You see, he has confused two questions. The first one about miseries, the second about overpopulation. So first I will answer the first question of miseries. Now you say there are miseries, accept it. There are miseries. And miseries are there because of human beings themselves, because they haven't got the divine within themselves. If they have divine, they will not dominate. They will not bear domination. They will be different people. But we can say one thing, how we reduce the miseries of people when you get realized. Now see, I have told you there are 7 chakras in the human beings. When they are awakened, what happens? Let us see. First of all, your physical problems are solved. Your health improves. You lead a very healthy life. You will be amazed, and in Sahaja Yoga, nobody dies before he is 70 years of age. He leads a very, very healthy life to begin with. first misery of physical life is over. Not only that he leads a physically good life, but he makes others physically all right. He makes them physically fit without taking a single pie from them. The vibrations that flow from him, he cures them and the other person gets all right. Now, as I have told you, there are people here who have treated so many people, have cured so many people without taking a single pie, because this love is flowing and that cures them. So your physical problem is solved. Then the second problem is your emotional problem. The person suffers emotionally. They become emotionally disturbed. Sometimes there are possessions, they come into it from their subconscious mind, and there are problems from the emotional side. Now, after realization, people become sakshi in the sense that emotionally they do not get involved into the things, that they do not feel disturbed about it, but they see the thing. I will give you a very concrete example. I had a grandchild, first grandchild born in my family. This child was born with a heart which was aorta and pulmonary vein there is a coarctation, which cannot be cured because it's a basic problem, and I knew about it the day she was born. But I was silent, and on the 6th day I said to the doctor, you must take her under X-ray and see what is the thing. Doctor was surprised. He said, why are you saying so? Such a little child should not be exposed to X-ray. I said, you take her. And I took her secretly and showed her to the doctor, and they found out the enlargement of the heart. Now, when I came home, I didn't tell my daughter, I didn't tell my husband, who was to come from Delhi. When he came back, with very great introduction, I told him. Immediately he fainted. He's a very healthy man. I mean, that way emotionally he is supposed to be a very sensible person, very balanced, but he fainted. We told this to the father of the child, he fainted. My daughter fainted. They couldn't bear it. I took the child to the hospital. I admitted her in the hospital because the doctor said they have to do other tests. Then we had to take the child to America, and I knew the child was going to die. But I said, all right, if they think the child is to be taken, I took. None of them could take. They couldn't take the child. I took there. The so-called miserable people actually are overdoing things by which they are spoiling everybody's life and making themselves miserable also. The way we talk of our miseries actually are so exaggerated. I do not know if they are really that miserable the way they talk about, and they cannot do anything about it, because unless and until you are separated from the problem, how are you going to solve it? You see, you are to be separated. Unless and until you are a doctor, you are not going to operate. Supposing you are the patient, how are you going to operate yourself? So the doctor in you must be separated. This is what the Sahaj Yoga does. Because you are the patient and you are the doctor, that's why the whole thing is more exaggerated. If you find any doctor being sick, he will be the worst patient. Have you seen that in practice? It is so. That's why those who are miserable are much more miserable than they are really, because they themselves do not know how to cure it. So the emotional problem is solved like this. Now, then there is another problem which we face all the time, is of our dharma, of our dignity, how to be dignified, how to be ourselves, the spiritual problem. And that is solved, no doubt, because there you find the divine flowing through. You really become a dynamic personality. Apart from that, for these worldly things, I have to tell you another things which happen to people who are Sahajogis. That is, your Lakshmi is awakened. Now you know what is Lakshmi. Such a person cannot become a beggar. Cannot. A Sahajogi cannot become a beggar because his Lakshmi is awakened. He is looked after. See, there is God Almighty who is looking after you. This is the sin against God, that all the time you are so insecure. The one who has created you, the one who is looking after you, is going to look after you everywhere. But you want to run after other things. You want to do smuggling. You want to do all kinds of things. You want to cut each other's throat. And then you want to see that you are happy. You cannot. You have to depend on Him and on His grace. And a person who is realized, he is like a Badsha. He is the king. He is always the queen. He doesn't bother. I can tell you about myself. I never feel I have dearth of money or dearth of anything. Never. You see, if you ask me, I can sleep on the ground. Now perhaps I was born in a very rich family and my husband is quite rich. But if you ask me, I can sleep anywhere. I can do without food for days together. It doesn't matter all the time. People talk of eating, eating, eating. How much do we eat? There's no need to eat such a lot. That's why some people are poor. Some people eat such a lot that there are some people who are poor. But automatically your attention from food and all that drops out. You just get it. If you get it well and good, if you don't get it well and good. For this morning I had no breakfast and all that. I didn't know that I had no. And if I had not even my lunch, I would not. Because this body is filled with energy you don't need. Actually, this is the first time the energy is filling you. Then you give vibrations. In Rahuri, there's one university where they have experimented. In the university, first time they have experimented in agricultural university with these vibrations. They have found that the growth of all these wheat was 10 times more. They found that the fruits that came out of it were beautiful and they were so tasty and so lasting. They found that when the cow was given vibrated water, she started giving Indian cow milk like an Australian cow. But I cannot write a guarantee check for you. That is one thing. So all the miseries, so-called, will drop out. Now the overpopulation problem. That's very interesting. I'll tell you what is it. Why there is such a overpopulation? You see, the congenial atmosphere for the Rakshasas and for the brutes, giving chance for brutes to come as human beings. Once this congenial atmosphere for them disappears, only the saintly will come, and they are not so many. And they will not need also so many things. A saintly person doesn't need much. With very little he is so satisfied he doesn't want. You see, he is a Bacha. It's only the mental attitude that makes us bhikaris. Otherwise we are not. We are very rich people. What else?
But you were just saying, that those of us who are interested in complete dependence on it.
Achha. Now I would say that really some who are really hungry will ask for the ultimate, but those who are not will be asking me questions. As I say, I have cooked the food for you, and those who are hungry will say, Mother, give us now, it's too much now. These people are just wasting our time, we are very hungry. And that's the stuff. And that's the thing you should ask for. That's the real thing you should ask for, and you should get it.